But what motivated me, this kid came from that. I'm in the hardest training in the world, in the worst shape of my entire life. What if I can graduate amongst these studs? All these guys around me, they're stallions, they're gladiators, they're all healthy. They're not broken like this. If I can start the hardest training in the world, broken, and graduate, you are now, from the weakest man, you are now the hardest man to ever live. If you can do this. Only those people who have been there a million times in their minds and have lived in that water and have suffered a million times and realize my legs may break, my knee may break, my bones will hurt. I will be the coldest I've been in my life. I will be miserable, and accept that. Because what happens is, in 3 months later, my stress fractures were healed by running on them. When the mind and the body connect and you don't give yourself a way out. The only way out for me at that time was death. I'm going to be a Navy SEAL, or I'm going to die trying, period. And my body said, roger that. We're going to get you through this. The only way out for me at that time was death. If I die, so be it. Everything I do, I'm not really comfortable doing. But if you choose, because if you're choosing to do something, you have two routes. You can go there and be a little weak person and get through barely, and that's your reputation. Or you can go through the hardest guy you can possibly be, and that's your reputation. If you're choosing to do something, attack it. Because they're going to remember you as not attacking it. So I want to be remembered. You can hate me, but there's one thing you can't say about me. I didn't attack it. We all have two people. We all have two people. And I'm not saying you're crazy. We have the easy voice, which is that 20% telling yourself that I'm easy at 90% of my full potential, maybe 100% at that 20%. That's that voice that we all love. That's that very comfortable voice that's that mommy holding you saying it's going to be okay. Doesn't care how good you are, just loves you. Just loves you no matter how messed up you are in life. That's where you want to be at. So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is a voice saying, hey man, you ain't doing it. So we try to get this voice out of our head completely. And we live over here in this land. So what you have to do first is turn up this voice over here. So I came up with this thing called the 40% rule. It's like a car. You put a governor on a car. They say the car can go 130. That governor stops the car at 91. And you're driving thinking, man, I want to floor it, but I can't go any faster. We do that to our brain. We put a governor on our brain. The second we feel pain, discomfort, suffering, all those words that we hate to say because we have this happy, peaceful world we live in now, we stop. We slow down. And if you can get through these different barriers and gain 5%, 2%, 3%, that 40% becomes 60. That 60% becomes 70, and 80, and 90. And then you'll hopefully one day near 100. I don't know many people who are probably at 100. We think we're there, but there's so much more. We all like to take this 4-lane highway, the easy highway. It has signs, it has restaurants. We all love that 4-lane highway. We always step over the shovel. And all I did was I picked up that shovel, and that shovel, I made my own path. And you may have big boulders and they may be getting 200 miles up the road faster than you, but going through this path of life, this journey over here that you make yourself, that's incredibly difficult. When it comes out the other end of that motherfucker, there's some glorious that you can't even explain to people. You have to create the real reality. So that's what I call my accountability mirror in my book. That's the real reality. Where the am I going to start from? So for me, I was lying to this, lying about that. So I had no starting point. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. But if I tell myself I'm strong, I have courage, I'm smart, and all these are lies, you continuously push that starting point backwards. So that starting point is the truth. The no bullshit truth that only you can tell yourself. It gives you a lot of power when you're able to go on a podcast this big and say, hey, tell me, I'll tell you anything you want to know. I no longer care. There's a lot of power in that. To be able to put your life on a billboard for the whole world to see and say, judge it, man. Judge it. Like just me talking about it makes me feel good. And that's another thing about it. When you are willing to talk about how jacked up you are, the strength, that big rock that you carry, it just starts to come off you. It just starts to come off. That's why I do it so often. I'm like, hey man, I'll tell you anything you want to know. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of not telling you, tired of lying about how good I'm not. I learned how to control my adrenals. If you know how you get that fight or flight response when you get to move real quick.
Yeah.
And I started learning the mind a lot, how to get myself jacked extremely fast, like in a horrible environment when everybody's miserable. I learned how to really find strength in the misery. When everybody's suffering, everybody's all poopy pants and their mentality's down and everything, I started just like, my God, this is where I shine. And I started using all that misery for tons and tons of drive and motivation to then lead people further. Because you can get a lot of power through misery. And once people see that, my God, Goggins is going, then everybody says, roger that. Let me get my shit and go too. I started realizing that if you can just find strength just a little bit longer, you will have a crew of people following you along the way. The second you look at your phone, the second you turn the TV on, you're in a battle. I want to win the war in the morning. If you do something you don't want to do every morning, you're already giving yourself the proper self-talk to attack the people that don't like you, to attack your insecurities, to attack what the world's going to give you. I once had that mentality that no one understands what the I'm going through. And if you keep that mentality, you're going to stay in the same exact spot that you're in. Everybody's going through. So when people get this mentality of like, you don't understand me, you can throw a rock to someone that can understand you if they're willing to break themselves down and stop hiding. A lot of people understand you, but you got to stop hiding. And then this guy was in my mind. We suffer every day. It's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. And now it's like just a way of life. What I realized is for me to become the man I wanted to become, I saw myself as the weakest person God ever created. But I never blamed God for anything he did to me. So I wanted to change that to be the hardest man ever created. Am I that? I don't know, but you had to have a goal.